to call the Board of Commissioners meeting this Monday, July 20th, 2026 at 6:45 p.m. to order. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I'd like to give notice of executive sessions held on June 22nd, July 13th, and July 20th to discuss real estate and legal matters. Public recognition. Recognizing Sarah Pilling, a longtime resident of Garrett Hill, who passed away July 5th, 2026. For her love of Garrett Hill, her energy, and her tenacity in promoting what she believed to be in the best interest of the neighborhood, and for her lifelong advocacy for the welfare of all Radnor residents through her unwavering dedication to protecting the environment. Public comment in a moment. Sorry, Roberta. Sarah is my favorite resident. She came up to me every meeting. She'd be back in the corner. I met her over 20 years ago when I was helping running Radnor Wayne Little League, and there was issues that were happening at Linton Field. She called me. I met over there on a Sunday with her, and she was great. She would never complain. She would tell what's happening and tell how to fix it too, which is awesome. And that happened for the next 7 years back then. So I knew her fairly well, or at least would see her a lot during the season of softball, and that was when Radnor Wayne Little League softball was the largest in the nation. It was big. And then through the years when I got elected, she would send me emails after I got elected here, and then going back to when she was here last, she pointed out that the sidewalks need repair in front of Linton Field. So that was on a Monday. I was working through the week, but I was off Friday. I checked on Friday the sidewalks. The township had already marked them to get them replaced. So the township listens to her, which is great. And it was like she was always trying to help in anything that she did, which was awesome. So yeah, that's why she's my favorite. Any public comment?
Roberta Winters, 326 Williams Road in Garrett Hill. I'd like to give a tribute to Sarah as well. On a torn piece of paper tucked under the matchbox holder in my kitchen in Rhode Island, my mother had a quote. As I recall, it read, "There are two kinds of people in the world, lifters and leaners. Sarah Pilling was a lifter. She saw what needed to be done and did it. When it came to sustainability, she just didn't talk the talk. She walked the walk, reducing her carbon footprint, installing solar, composting, establishing community gardens, helping build a rain garden, and more. As a lifter, she brought others with her into such initiatives. Sustainability for Sarah encompassed more than being green. Whenever possible, she walked rather than drove. This gave her a special connection with the Garrett Hill neighborhood, its challenges and its opportunities. She lifted up the issues of the special community, promoted change, and made a difference. Her public comments, that to others may have seemed personal, were directed to make a difference for others. Whether it was a crumbling sidewalk, the height of a speed bump, or a questionable tax increase, she was the guardian for all of us who live, work, and play in Radnor Township. Learn from Sarah. Take time to walk the walk in your community. Tune out the distractions. Stop, look, and listen. Reflect on what needs to be done. Lead others to share your perspective and get busy. Do your homework. Learn from the ropes of local government and get involved. Democracy, like politics, is local. It depends on civic participation for lifters like Sarah and for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I? I apologize, I got late and I didn't get a chance to sign in. Good evening, my name is Greg Stagliano. It sounds like I really missed an opportunity to meet a fascinating woman. And my sympathies, Jim, if she was indeed your favorite. I'm sorry for your loss. I came here tonight because I need your help. I've written to some of you. I want to be placed on the next agenda to discuss the issues associated with my new neighbor at 506 Shawmont Drive. I'm on 502 Shawmont Drive. I've been here for 26 years. And it's an absurd, bizarre, nearly Kafkaesque experience that I've had with the township thus far and Messrs. Norsini, White, and Rice. And I can't even get close to summarizing it in the time I'm allotted here. So what I wanted to do was have perhaps 15 to 20 minutes. I need to show you some exhibits and comment on it. And I figured I'd just come here. I understand from Maggie. Thank you, by the way, Maggie, for responding to me when I asked how things get put on the agenda. If you'd like me to formally repeat this request in letter form, I'm happy to do that. But I need to be placed on the agenda. This matter is getting out of hand. It will not end until I'm satisfied, and I assure you of that. And we don't need to drag this absurdity out any longer at more embarrassment to the township, more wasted expense to the township. I'm a victim of the illegalities of my neighbor, and I haven't come close to being satisfied. So I'd like to know whether you agree to put me on the next agenda.
Commissioners, if I may interject.
Thank you, Mr. Norsini.
So yes, I'm very familiar with Mr. Stagliano and the situation. Mr. Rice is also very intimately familiar with this. My suggestion would be respectfully to wait till Solicitor Rice is available to see if this is actually a board agenda item and take it from there.
I would second that. This is public comment. You don't need to respond at this point in time. You can take it under advisement. John will be back very soon, and it can be discussed with him.
That's totally fine. Would you like me to supplement this with a letter of some kind as well, or is it
Yes,
adequate?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not going on memory. Thank you.
Happy to do so. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Hi.
Am I appropriate? Is this public
Yes,
comment?
public comment still, yes.
Okay. Kathleen Wright. I live on Lenore Avenue. And I have a comment about the ordinance, the introduction of the ordinance that's on tonight's agenda about putting the district magistrate in Ward 6. I emailed my neighbors the other day after I had read it, and I asked, why are we spending $1 million on a building in a neighborhood when we have a huge township building where law enforcement already resides? Secondly, increased traffic on an important roadway from Wayne where families and children walk to and from our town. And while the magisterial district court is the first level of judicial authority in Pennsylvania, specific duties can include civil cases, criminal cases, and summary offenses. That was my letter to my neighbors and to my commissioner. And she wrote me back, and I was very grateful for that. And she said, let me flip my page. She said, "Hi, Kathy. Thank you for reaching out with your concerns regarding the purchase of the former veterinary hospital and its conversion to our magistrate court and offices. I believe the purchase is a positive for our township. With regard to the cost, this is a net positive for our residents. Delaware County rents the offices that local magistrates use as their courthouses and offices. At the moment, the magistrate court for Radnor is in Newtown Square. The township will purchase the building, and it will then be rented to Delaware County as our magistrate's court. In essence, the building will pay for itself in 10 years. Thereafter, it can continue to be rented as the magistrate's court and offices, which will generate income for the township, and after 10 years, the property might be used for other purposes. As mentioned above, we will now have a magistrate's court in Radnor rather than Newtown Square. With regard to the use of the township building, that building is at capacity. Not only is the building at capacity, but we lose some parking at NK Park. So, and then I responded to her today. Commissioner Agnew, thank you for your response to my concerns about the purchase of the former veterinary property on West Wayne Avenue for the use of the Delaware County Magisterial District Court in Radnor Township. I am concerned that the timing of the introduction of this very important ordinance is on a Monday in July, when neighbors most impacted may not be aware of the potential of increase in law enforcement presence. My strongest argument against the purchase of this property for this use is that the Delaware County Magisterial District Court in Radnor Township does not belong in a neighborhood. Anywhere on Lancaster Avenue within the boundaries of our township is more appropriate for this location. Locations such as a vacant property in the Villanova Center, where there's also a post office, the empty Sinclair building on the corner of Radnor, Chester, and Lancaster Avenues, and the former DeBruno Brothers store in the Stratford Shopping Center, which has ample parking, especially Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I look forward to ongoing discussions about this complex situation, as my home is only blocks away from the West Wayne property. Sincerely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Baron Gemmer, South Wayne Avenue. Just to get back to Sarah, Sarah is going to be so missed by the township and many of us so personally, as Jim's already said. Just to be very short and sweet in terms of how I think she would want to be recognized in the manner that she so much appreciated. I think right now she's united with John Lewis, making a lot of good trouble up in heaven. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And for Sarah Pilling, we're still working on something to remember her by that the township's going to do. Thank you. All right, no more public comment. Let's get to the consent agenda. Any public comment on that? Seeing none. Any from the board, staff? Can I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, to the business agenda. 3A, motion to approve request of Emerson Group for waiver of land development. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Marcini?
Comment?
Mr. President, this stems from the subject property where the owner, wished to do an addition to the house, to the property, which triggered land development. And they requested a waiver from this. And I think last night you saw an email from Solicitor Rice outlining the developer's agreement. I concur with the solicitor, and our recommendation to the board is we recommend to allow the waiver subject to that agreement for the Emerson Group in 420 Lancaster Avenue.
All right, thank you.
I second that recommendation, and if the board has any questions, there are representatives from the applicant developer here.
Yeah, could the applicant come up? Thank you, and explain. Thanks.
Hello, can you hear me? Yes. Good evening. My name is Cameron Wolfson with the law firm Riley Riper, Holland and Colagreco. We represent the applicant, the Emerson Group. Happy to give as much or as little information as you need. As Mr. Norsini kind of highlighted, we are requesting the waiver. Sorry.
No, keep going. Why don't you, I guess what I'm looking for is if you can explain the project. A lot of this is, we're also televised, so it would be good for the community to understand why you would think that a land development process should be waived for you, and just kind of lay out the issue, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So the property being located at 420 East Lancaster Avenue, owned by the Emerson Group. And just for context, the Emerson Group owns many properties in the township, including their headquarters just on the other side of East Lancaster Avenue. When they purchased this property, the intention is essentially to beautify it. It's certainly outdated, both not only aesthetically, but there are some structural issues that needed repair. So the applicant had proposed a plan and submitted to the township for essentially facade renovations, and during the course of the renovations, they realized they needed the structural repair. The plan was reviewed and approved by the Design Review Board, and during the course of the demolition, as I mentioned, they realized that the township kicked it into land development. So it's basically kind of been paused in the progress of the renovations. We believe that the proposed improvements do not meet the standard for land development, neither in the township ordinance or within the municipality's planning code. Essentially, these are building renovations. There's no actual improvement to the site. There's no increase in impervious coverage. There's no increase to the building footprint. There's no change in the employees or the occupancy. Therefore, no change in traffic, no change in parking, no change in utility use. So everything is really just confined to kind of the structural changes and the changes to the facade and the outside of the building. And therefore, we think that it would, we're requesting the waiver respectfully for this project. Yes.
Anyone else? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Public comment on this item? All right, seeing none, call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Passes. Thank you. All right. Next up, 3B, motion to approve settlement agreement between UPenn and Radnor Township. And a second? Second. And a second, thank you. Any comment from staff on this? Any from the public?
If somebody could lead us in on this, it's been a while since we talked about it.
Yes.
And maybe we could help, me and the public and everybody understand what we're talking about.
Back, I believe it was during the fun times of COVID, Penn filed a variance application to erect a sign on the side of their parking garage facing the Blue Route. The sign needed two variances, one to size, one to height. At the time, the township opposed those variance requests. The zoning hearing board denied the variance request. That denial was then appealed to the Court of Common Pleas and Media. While that appeal was pending, Penn filed another application with the zoning hearing board seeking a variance for another sign. This sign would be the same height, but it was reduced in size, so it no longer needed the size variance, it only needed the height variance. The zoning hearing board heard that second application, denied it. That second application was again appealed by Penn to the Court of Common Pleas and Media. Both of those cases have been sitting for the last, 5, 6 years. So recently, my understanding is Penn approached the township with the settlement offer. Those negotiations have resulted in this particular settlement document that is now before you for your approval. This settlement document basically would allow Penn to erect the sign that the size of which complies with our ordinance, but the height of which does not. The sign would be still on the parking garage, would face the blue route. It would not be lit in any way, shape, or form, either internally or externally. That, I believe, is really the gist of the entire situation.
Thank you.
So this is, this sign also doesn't face anything but the blue route, is that right?
Yes, it just faces the blue route.
Any public comment?
Michael Mainardi. I've lived here for 30 years. I'm just curious, what does the sign say and how tall is it?
The sign is approximately 51 feet off the ground. However, when you view it from the blue route, it's not going to be
What does it say?
that high.
And what does it say?
It has the Penn Medicine shield, and then it says Penn Medicine.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Yeah. All right, so it's 5-0. 5.
Okay.
And one
And-
abstention.
Right, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, 3C, ordinance 2026-16, adoption, conversion of 4 metered parking spaces on the west side of the Wayne Senior Center to handicap parking spaces. Chief?
Commissioners, this, for adoption, we did review that the Wayne Senior Center approached us regarding needing more handicap spaces available for their services. And they've been very busy, and I think it would be a great addition to assist those elderly residents and visitors to that property. So this would be a new addition of those spots, which would allow for safer and easier entrance and exit from the building.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion for this?
So moved.
Thank you, and thank you. A second. All right, any public comment? Board comment?
I think this is an excellent idea. One, they need the space. They're doing a lot more serving of lunches now that they can cook at the Willows. And those spaces on the west side of the senior center are crazy. People park in all kinds of crazy ways, and this will just make it clear that this is a handicap parking zone. I think it's an excellent idea.
Very good, thank you. All right, let's call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Very good. Okay, next up, 3D, ordinance 2026-14, adoption. Addition of no parking between signs between 215 Trianon Lane and 219 Trianon Lane, consisting of 650 feet. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second? Second. Thank you. Chief?
Thank you, Commissioners. We were approached by the residents. They had some concerns about going through Trianon, and they wanted to establish a no parking zone where the visibility is slightly reduced as they traverse the road, and we believe this is appropriate to restrict parking for this small area.
Thank you.
Just real quick, Chief, in your determination, there's still plenty of parking for residents and guests on those roads?
Yes, there's quite a bit of parking there, and we don't see there being any issue following this. We will monitor it, though, Commissioner, just to make sure, nothing happens or there has to be an adjustment, but we do believe this is a good decision.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment? Okay, let's call a vote. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, 3E, ordinance 2026-15, adoption. Implement no parking on the west side of Francis Avenue for the full length of the street. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second? Thank you. Chief?
Good evening, Commissioners. This was a two-part, one for public safety reasons and number two, the residents. We were going to prohibit parking on one side of the street just so people can visualize it. There's some challenges at the end of the street by the Wawa. And also, if there's a snowstorm or other issues, if somebody doesn't park on the right side of the street or they're from a different area, it can prohibit trash trucks and plow trucks to go through. So between the residents' support of this and those other reasons, we request you support this ordinance.
Thank you. Any public comment? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. 3F, ordinance 2026-19, introduction. Approving the acquisition and purchase of 405 West Wayne Avenue, Radnor Township, Pennsylvania, consisting of approximately 0.3887 acres and existing 16,933 square feet commercial structure in order to locate offices for the Delaware County Medicinal District Court in Radnor Township. Can I have a motion? And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I can maybe talk about this.
Yeah, thank you.
So Pennsylvania's court system has 4 levels. At the top, it's the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. They rarely hear cases. They only take the cases that, with a few exceptions for death penalty cases, they take the cases that they choose to. At the intermediate appellate level, we have the Superior Court and the Commonwealth Court who hear appeals from our frontline courts of common pleas, which are what you think of as trial courts. The summary court, the court that deals with either probable cause hearings, preliminary hearings in criminal cases, where we determine is there enough evidence to believe that a crime has occurred and that you had something to do with it. And also on the civil side, cases where less than $12,000 are at issue. Those are the magisterial district courts. There are probably hundreds, certainly dozens of magisterial districts within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They're important because you elect your magistrate from a much smaller population. And when you pick that person ends up being the person who you go and see when you get a parking ticket, that you go and see when your kid gets their first speeding ticket, that you go and see when the plumber that you hired does not do a good job and you want your money back because you paid him in advance. We historically in Radnor Township for years had our own Radnor Township Magisterial District Court. And then maybe 2 decades ago, it got taken away from us. We were split between, I think, Marple and Newtown Square. That's problematic for us because we don't have the voting strength to actually influence really who the magisterial district court judge is in those areas. We're stuck with what those other municipalities wanted. So when you're going to see the magisterial district court judge because you really were not speeding, you know that you weren't speeding, the cop must have been asleep at the switch. Sorry, Chief, I know that doesn't happen in real life. It was going to be someone who you did not pick. About 3 years ago, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, which decides where the magisterial district courts are going to lie, gave us back our own magisterial district court. There is now a Radnor Township Magisterial District. We have not been able to find space for that person in Radnor Township. And the reasons why are multifaceted. I'm going to dumb it down dramatically and just kind of collapse it all into one thing, which is probably unfair to a lot of people. But it kind of boils down to the fact that the county, which is the group that pays for the courts, does not want to pay Radnor real estate rates. The rent that we pay for commercial space in Radnor Township is consistent with what we all pay for our mortgages and our taxes and everything else in Radnor Township. It's high as compared to other areas around the county. And as a result, the Radnor district exists, but the actual court that you go to is in Newtown Square. That's problematic for a couple of different reasons. In the first place, it means that we have to schlep all the way out to Newtown Square when our police go out there. It costs us a little bit of money in gas. It's more problematically costing us time in overtime, money in overtime. It means that officers are less available to do other tasks within the township while they're schlepping to Newtown Square. So that's problematic. And it also means that when you have the plumber or the ticket or whatever else that you're going with, I feel bad for beating up on plumbers. They're great. But when you are dealing with your personal issues, you're also schlepping out to Newtown Square. So you have all the same issues that we do as a township. Perhaps the more important issue, though, is that we're sending a really loud message to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania that we don't really care about having our own magisterial district court. It's fine to leave him out in Newtown Square, and maybe not the next time they reorganize the courts, but eventually there's going to be pressure. Some other district is going to want a judge, and when the Supreme Court looks at Radnor, and we haven't had a magistrate in Radnor for 15 years, they're going to say, well, like, they don't really want one, so they're going to take ours away, and they're going to give it to somebody else. That's bad for all the reasons. For all the reasons that we want someone, losing that person would also be bad. The house at 405 West Wayne Avenue is on the market. It's available at a price that we are able to pay. It has great parking opportunities for us. The existing lot that it has is sufficient to meet the needs that are set forth by the AOPC, the Administrative Office of the Pennsylvania Courts. And it also backs up to the Friends of the Radnor Trail Park, which means that in the event that there were ever a time when we needed more than normal parking, we've got overflow that is available. It's on an existing commercial site. Kathy, I am mindful of the comments that you've made that this is a neighborhood, and I understand that, and I don't discount that in any way. The reality, though, is that this is a commercial site, which means that one way or the other it's going to be filled by a commercial tenant. It was previously a vet. If we don't buy it, we have no control over what ultimately it becomes. It could be something that ultimately the neighborhood finds far more obnoxious than a district court, which honestly operates on a pretty limited schedule. It's a very low intensity use. It's not going to drive a lot of traffic. There's just not a lot of people who are going to the district court for Radnor Township. Some of that is because we don't get the kinds of crime that areas around the county sometimes do. Thank you, Chief. And some of that is because our plumbers are actually really good, and so we don't end up suing our plumbers very often in Radnor Township. So I don't anticipate that this is going to drive traffic in a realistic way, at least not over and above the previous vet use, and certainly as not compared to some of the other far more intense commercial uses that could end up going there. I know, Kathy, and forgive me for beating up on you, but you came up and you spoke and you gave me some issues to respond to, so I will. You mentioned the fact that we're spending money on it, and Kathy Agnew's response was 100%, for lack of a better term, on the money. We're getting paid back. We buy the space, we're renting it to the county, we're being the bank in the sense that we're going to make it available to them at a reduced rate. We do, however, get paid back over a 10-year time horizon, and that's to include the expenses that we incur in turning what was a vet into a courthouse. So we get rent, but on top of that, we would get a pro rata yearly fee that would cover the cost, and within 10 years, we get paid back for the cost of conversion. I think that those are most of the issues that are out there. I don't really want to do a back and forth at a public meeting just because we don't usually do that in terms of public comment. But Kathy, if you wanted to email me with any questions to include me as well as Kathy Agnew, I'd be glad to give you whatever information that I can. I'm going to support this. I'm asking for the support of the board. We've got to have a magisterial district court in Radnor. There are other places that are probably better locations. If I could literally have anywhere in the township, I might not select this site. But the thing is, this is what's available. The other locations that, and again, Kathy, I'm sorry, but the ones that you brought up may be good options. Some of them are too small. But the bigger issue is that none of them are available right now. The county has been asking, are there landlords who are willing to pay what they're willing to accept what they're willing to pay, and the answer has uniformly been no, everywhere that they go. So that's why we're in this position that we're in now. So I'm asking for the board's help so we can get a courthouse for Radnor Township. And I know that Sloan would ask for the same, I should say, our magisterial district court judge.
I just to also clarify or add to what Commissioner Larkin said, this has been a 3-year search, and I think we've exhausted every option. When a property came on, on the market, it was looked at. I know that the judge himself has been visiting properties over and over again for 3 years. So it was not. This is not a. We have been thinking about this quite a bit. We have been looking at all options. I do understand that this is a summer meeting, but as real estate goes, when something's available, you have to make the offer, or something else will knock us out of the running. So there was my colleague held a public meeting for the residents that was publicized to the neighbors. I don't think there was it was not well attended for whatever those reasons are, but the attempt to have this conversation has been, systematic throughout the 3 years. We've been, talking with owners of property. Commissioner Childs is, speaking to people in the neighborhood. So we are not doing this in the cover of night. It is just, this is when the property is available, that seem to all come together in a way that we would be able to fulfill the vision of having our judge sitting in our community, and to the concern that if we don't find a place, we will lose that, and it is a real benefit to our residents. So I will be supporting.
Thank you. Any public comment on this motion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and that was an introduction. All right, 3G, Resolution 2026-88, authorizing the replacement of 10 water source heat pumps at the Township building in the amount of $146,200 to be funded from the 2024 Facilities Improvement General Obligation Bond. Can I have a motion? So moved. And a second? Thank you.
Commissioners.
Mr. Norsini, thank you.
I've been remiss, so before I start, I would like to introduce Matt Rieger, our newly minted Assistant Director of Engineering and Community Development. We're thrilled to have him. He's been here a couple weeks. He was so interested, he decided he had to come to the meeting tonight. I'm taking this for Bob Hale, who does all these items for HVAC throughout the building. In 2024, we started a systematic replacement of the water source heat pumps in this building. There are approximately 50 of them. We've replaced 37 units to date. The request is to replace 10 more. We've done them in increments. That'll leave us about 4 to go. So, excuse me, the request is to allow J.J. White to replace these 10 units as part of the systematic replacement of these units based on the facilities bond. And that is in the amount, hang on. Lost my tab, I'm sorry. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, sir. $146,200 to be funded from the 2024 Facilities Improvement GOB. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any public comment? Board comment? All right, all in favor? Aye. Very good. All right, on to 3H, Resolution 2026-85, authorizing Carroll Engineering to perform design, permitting, and bidding documents for the rehabilitation of upstream bridge at Ithan Valley Park in the amount of $82,500. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Mr. Norsini?
Thank you, Commissioner. The board may recall a few years back, we did a renovation of the downstream bridge to Ithan Valley Park. That was designed by Carroll. We were very happy with their design and their attention to detail in that design, and I think all can agree that came out really nicely. We knew that we were going to have to do the upstream bridge. So out of the upcoming bond, we need to move forward on this. So what we thought we had some time for, if you look in the pictures on the arch ring, there is missing block, severely cracked. The third time now we've had to reduce the weight limit on the bridge. It was 5, it was 3, it's 2. It's been closed. So we are requesting to award Carroll Engineering in the amount of $82,500 to perform design, permitting, and bidding docs to redo that bridge. And that bridge will end up looking like the other one, that there's like a stucco coating on there, which actually hides a lot of the faults. So they would match. But the important thing is the bridge is in disrepair and needs to be rehabilitated.
Thank you, Mr. Norsini. I do have a question about, so this is Ithan Valley Park, and there is a planned cleanup day for the Villanova Day of Service in September. So I'm just wondering what the timeline would be. I know there's the second bridge, so there's still access to the park. We have full access to the park, but I'm wondering if there will be active construction into mid-September. Do you have any idea?
Thank you, Commissioner. That's a great question. Seeing what time of year we're in to get started, and there's going to have to be DEP permitting because our contractor will be working in the stream. I don't see any construction at least until Q2 of 2027, so all should be good.
Thank you.
Very good. Any comments from the public? From the board? Let's call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, 3I, Resolution 2026-87, authorizing the payment for the emergency traffic signal replacement at Glenbrook and County Line to Charles Higgins and Sons in the amount of $77,185.93 to be reimbursed through the auto insurance claim. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Foster, is that you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, President. Back on January 17th, 2026, there was, as you mentioned, an automobile accident that took place. We then had Higgins and Sons go out and clean up the wreckage and then put a temporary pole up, and that was authorized by you, but then we needed to have them go back out to put up the permanent poles, which we had them do also. They just completed that work. So as was mentioned, this is something that's going to be reimbursed through insurance, but the township has to put up the funds first. So we're requesting to be able to pay Higgins and Son for the work that they did to get everything back functioning properly.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? From the board? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Reports from board liaisons. Do we have that? Okay. New business? Old business?
Yeah, I have one thing I just wanted to bring up. We passed in 2025 an ordinance, I think it was 05, about dumping water from your swimming pool that would end up on the neighbor's yard. Does everybody remember that one? I am wondering how that was communicated to contractors or swimming company, pool companies, because I can tell you, my neighbors emptied their pool over last Friday, and my lawn was this deep in water. Luckily, it was a pool that had not been used in a few years, had no chlorine, didn't kill all my trees and bushes, but I just wonder if contractors are supposed to go into our ordinances and figure out what we've written. Or if we have some responsibility to, at least the major local contractors should get a copy of the ordinance. I don't know, I just wanted to bring it up because it was just a silly personal experience. Didn't hurt my lawn or anything. In fact, it probably watered it and did it good. But I realized when I went over to talk to these guys, I said, you know, you're not allowed to do this. What they did was move the big hose over to another neighbor's lawn so that mine wouldn't, yeah. And I just thought it would be an interesting concept to let people know. And I don't know who would be in charge of that.
Mr. Norsini.
Mr. Norsini?
So a couple things there. DEP has a regulation on this. And when I go out to a pool company that's doing this, they're like, you're wrong, no, you're not allowed to do this, you know, and I'm like, that's state level, that's not local, and we follow that. And if it's going to be, you're not supposed to, but if it's a large pool, we'll tell them to take it out to an inlet in the street so it doesn't do that, right? So it doesn't.
Or to a truck.
Yeah, you can pump it out. So I think and I'm not smearing all pool companies, I think they do what's most convenient for them, what's the quickest and the easiest. They drop their pump in, lay the hose out, one person complains, spin it 50 degrees, send it to the other neighbor. I think maybe under our page, we can work on like pools, you know, maybe a tab that said like, you know, just pools, which can get into, you know, what you're allowed to do, permits, blah, 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 and as well as maintaining them. Because it does, diving into the ordinance can be a little bit arduous, but they are aware of that that's a state requirement, that's not a local requirement. I just don't think many of them don't adhere to it.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Bless you. Thank you. All right, public participation. Public participation. I see there's a seat left open over there, which is very good. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?